Well, starting off, as you can see here by the title of tonight, a heat related illness risk is going to take shape soon. A heat related illness risk is going to take shape soon. And so we're going to get into all of that and why that's about to happen. But first, before we get into that, what's on tap for tonight? What are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about mostly dry, with any isolated evening showers kind of ending as we go into tonight, near normal high temperatures tomorrow. And then we're going to have some scattered afternoon and evening showers as we continue more into Thursday and Friday. Continued as we go even into the weekend, and maybe even a heat advisory possible. And then persistent summertime pattern with daily scattered showers and thunderstorms. Heat and humid conditions continue next week. All of that we're going to go on and talk about. But if you've not hit the like button yet or the subscribe button yet, please go on and do so. It's free, helps out the channel, and it helps me get out better content by you going on and hitting the subscribe button. So we're going to start off right now and take a look at our radar. And as we can currently see, as of 9 o'clock p.m. with around 35 seconds on it, looks like that we are having some rainfall going on over here near Florence, some rainfall going on over here inside of Marion as well. And so that rainfall just seems to be trying to move its way over towards the south and east, kind of maybe moving its way over into the Horry County areas very soon. And it's just going to move its way off. Now, we did have a severe thunderstorm warning a bit earlier up here inside of areas just to the north of like Dillon, for example, kind of moving its way down into North Carolina. And you can now see it is in North Carolina, now just a regular special weather statement with it about to expire in about a minute. So what's going on throughout the entire U.S.? Well, we do have some rainfall going on over inside of pretty much the central U.S. and the northern Midwest, or the upper Midwest. Look over here in the east. We're not looking at too much. I mean, yeah, we have some rainfall where we are. We have some storms going on in Florida, maybe some in the Delmarva area. But along the coastal areas is really the only area we're having rainfall. Maine is dry, going all the way down through Vermont, New Hampshire, New York. Pennsylvania is dry. West Virginia, Virginia is dry. And it looks like that a lot of us are staying dry over here in the east. The west, they're starting to see a little bit more, but overall they're dry as well. Central U.S. is the area that we're watching for. There's severe thunderstorms going on in Texas, going on in Arkansas, some severe weather going on in Minnesota, and some flooding going on in some spots. Now, in terms of cloud cover is not really too prominent. We're seeing some light clouds going on in the upstate, maybe a little bit inside the PD areas, but it's definitely not a whole lot. The low country looking nice and clear, Grand Strand looking pretty clear, Southern Midlands looking clear. We look at our cloud cover for the future. We're going to move this into tonight. As we move into around 4 o'clock in the morning, cloud cover is not that widespread, not that spread out. Seems like it's more scattered than anything. And as we go into 7 o'clock in the morning, going all the way to around 10 o'clock in the morning tomorrow morning, it looks like cloud cover is starting to get going in the upstate. Low country is still getting some cloud cover. And then as you move into the afternoon, here's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, a huge bulge of cloud cover moves in from the north and west, moving its way south and east throughout the state. Now, as we go all the way into Wednesday night, going into Thursday morning, here we are, Thursday morning, cloud cover, trying to make a little bit of a return, and then Thursday afternoon, kind of the same thing. So cloud cover will make a return. Don't, get it wrong or anything like that. Don't get it wrong. Cloud cover will be making a return. Current temperatures right now, we're talking about 86 in Charleston, 84 Somerville, 86 Beaufort, as well as 83 in Orangeburg, 84 in Georgetown, and 84 in Murray's Inlet, 83 Myrtle Beach, and 82 in Conway, 79 Florence, and 82 in Hartsville, 79 in Lancaster, 77 Rock Hill, 74 Greenville, 75 in Spartanburg, Gaffney, and even 77 inside of Clemson. Now, in terms of your air quality for today, it looks like that we are looking pretty good in terms of air quality. We're not seeing anything right now in terms of bad air quality as we currently stand. Now, as we go into our low temperatures for tonight, have around 63 in Greenville, 62 Spartanburg, as well as 64 in Rock Hill, 64 Winsboro, as well as 68 in Columbia, 70 Orangeburg, as well as Moncks Corner, 74 in Charleston, 70 Georgetown, 72 in Myrtle Beach, and 75 in Hilton Head Island. High temperatures for today, you're talking about around a good 90 inside of Orangeburg, 90 Moncks Corner, 87 Charleston, 91 Walterboro, even around 87 pretty much for the majority of the coastal areas. Rock Hill, 85 in Greenville, 86 Spartanburg. Now, if we go on and take a look at our rainfall rate for tonight, we're not looking at much. You see like 1/100 of an inch to 1/10 of an inch in a lot of those areas where, guess what, the rainfall is going on right now. So I do think that, maybe it may be a little bit more spread out than that, obviously, but you can still see Myrtle Beach may still get around that 1/100 of an inch to 1/10 of an inch. Areas like Conway, Carolina Forest, North Myrtle Beach may still see around 1/100 of an inch to 1/10 of an inch as we move into the next 24 hours. But after that, it looks like that we are continuing to be dry for pretty much the majority of tomorrow. We'll see what happens, and I'll show you why it's about to be dry in just a moment here. But it looks like that rainfall is not really going to be too much of a factor as we move throughout the next 24 hours here. Now for the SPC outlook, let me go and get the updated ones, because usually the SPC outlook decides they want to try and update stuff at 9 o'clock, so obviously I have to wait until after I start recording to get the main forecast for it. But here's the main one for tonight. You do see that we do have some thunderstorms, some light green activity going on inside the PD areas, the Grand Strand, the Low Country, Tri-County areas, getting in on some of that light green. So even though I do believe that thunderstorm activity is mainly kind of done, you still want to watch for it either way, because the officials are still saying that the activity and that the ingredients are still there for it. Tomorrow, no thunderstorms really are expected. Same thing really on Thursday, except for maybe a little part of the upstate here. And after that, that's all. So no severe weather is expected. Now, in terms of our flash flooding threat, we have some rainfall going on, some flash flooding that may go on as we move into day 3, which is Thursday. Thursday is day 3. So that's New Ellington, that's going on near Beach Island, near Jackson, South Carolina, Allendale, South Carolina, Estelle, South Carolina, going down into Furman, South Carolina. And these areas have an isolated flash flood risk, so if you're inside that light green area, you have a 5% risk of damaging flooding, pretty much, or just flash flooding. Again, that is for Thursday. Crazy score for tonight, we're at a 9. Yes, we are at a 9. We're looking at some calm conditions tonight. No significant weather, clear skies, light clouds, and honestly, it looks pretty good. Pretty good for tonight. This is one of the lowest scores that we've had in a long time. So let's go on now and take a look at the models. Now. Time is at the bottom part of your screen. Make sure that you go on and pay attention to that, because that is very, 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 very important that you go on and do so. We do not want anybody to get lost here on the models. So we're going to start off here at 9 o'clock p.m. and exactly what we were just seeing on the radar. You can see up there inside of the PD areas, the Grand Strand areas, even a little bit of the Midlands, but this was last updated around 3 o'clock. So you see around all this rainfall kind of moving in and moving out as quickly as it can here at 11 p.m., going all the way to around 1 o'clock in the morning. Now we're looking at dry conditions. Watch as we go into tomorrow. Wednesday morning, no rainfall. Wednesday afternoon, 4 o'clock p.m., no rainfall. I see like a little isolated shower down there in the very far Low Country, but that's at around like 6 p.m. And that's the only drop of rainfall I really see for the next 24 hours or so. Now, as you move more into Wednesday night going into Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon, doesn't look that bad either. So a good bit of dry air is trying to influence us here in the state of South Carolina and kind of drop that rainfall and that thunderstorm risk. And you might be asking, well, why is that the case? Well, if you remember what we were talking about last night and the night before last, cold front would be moving through. Cold front is moving through. And it has pretty much already tried to move through. I think it's actually moving throughout the state right now as we speak. But the 6Z, which is that is like early morning. I think that's around like 3 a.m. or so. I may be mistaken on that, but it's somewhere in the early morning hours. It shows that the cold front is off the coast at that point. So I do believe cold front is moving through. It's going to make things drier, obviously, make things a bit less humid. Is it going to make you cold? Absolutely not. But it will make things a lot drier, as you can see right here. And that's why we're seeing these drier conditions as we move into midweek. So, and that also kind of aligns with our averages as well. You remember we were going to see a below normal precipitation week. And again, this cold front is aiding to that fact because it's bringing in drier air. Now, what's going on as we move throughout the next 300 hours or so in terms of precipitation? We have some rainfall kind of moving its way around here and there, but it's nothing too widespread. A huge storm system, not really expected. And if you were here last night, we were talking about how we had a huge ridge starting to build over in the eastern U.S. that's going to try and block any sort of major storm systems or any sort of major rainfall events to kind of make it into South Carolina. And just as you move through Monday, we have a little rainmaker that may try to come through, but I mean, it's nothing too big to where, we're seeing major drought relief statewide. You go further into the future, again, rainfall here and there, but once we move into July, which is kind of where we start to see it try to break down a little bit, you're starting to see some more rainfall kind of trying to move its way through. And just overall, just everyday rainfall as we move more and more into July. Now, if I go on real quick, and I'm just going to switch you over to the crazy score real quick so I can go ahead and pull this up. I'm going to take a look at the JMA again and kind of show you what we were looking at. So this is right here at around 8 o'clock p.m. or so going into tonight. You go ahead and push this forward. You can see that we have that warmer air and that drier, and those dry conditions not really allowing for too much in terms of storm systems to really make their way through. Now you can see some activity going on in the west. That's a low pressure over there. That's going to bring them some precipitation. What do I mean by that? Well, look at this. Well, actually, don't look at this. Look at this. Here it is. Yeah, you're going to see some rainfall over here in the east, obviously. It's not going to block out rain. But you can see they even have snowfall up there in late June up there in Idaho. Cooler air and just dreary conditions, that will bring that. So, I mean, a huge ridge builds over here in the east. We're looking at nice dry conditions, but hot as well, especially as we move into next week, which is the main reason why we're, the main kind of topic for tonight is that heat. This is going to be the primary reason as of why, and you see how it kind of stretches pretty much throughout the entire U.S. I mean, this almost shows like a little omega block pattern right here to where how it kind of has the omega symbol, and it tries to keep a lot of that storm activity kind of out from the central U.S., maybe out of parts of the eastern U.S. or obviously parts of the western U.S. and a good amount of the southern U.S. Now, like I said, rainfall will still happen. Just because this happens does not mean that rainfall won't happen. It's still summertime. Summertime will still do what summertime wants to do. But it still won't bring us any sort of major big-time storm systems like severe weather, heavy flash flooding, or anything like that. But again, summer does what summer does. And its thunderstorms, I mean, could definitely still pack a punch, even if a major storm system's not coming through. And so that's the main pattern that we're going to be sitting in. Just a huge just block over us that's going to try and cause to give us some nicer but also warmer weather at the same time. So now how much rainfall are we talking about specifically over this time frame? Well, if we go on and take a look over into the GEFS, well, here are the obvious characteristics of it. I just said no, not really too many big storm systems are going to really try and come through. An inch, maybe even an inch and a half in some spots over the next 300 to 400 hours. That's not a lot of rainfall. I mean, you got to imagine over the next 2 weeks and some change, only getting an inch of rainfall. That's not good for the drought. We need to see more rainfall than this. And so that's one of the consequences to having that block going on. The European, same way. In fact, it's even less. Now, granted, it is around 24 hours short of the GEFS, which is the one we just showed, but the European has some of us not even receiving an inch of rainfall over the next 360 hours. Now, I've said this about a million times, but I'm saying it again. Summer is going to do what summer wants to do. Summer is going to do what summer wants to do. And what do I mean by that? I mean thunderstorms. I mean rainfall. Thunderstorms are still going to happen. You could still see torrential downpours with some thunderstorm activity, but if everything goes here according to models, and we in some spots won't get torrential downpours, we could be talking about not a lot, if not almost dangerous conditions in terms of drought growth, because you're not going to see too much in terms of rainfall. I mean, the European not even getting us over 2 inches, or nowhere even really even close to over 2 inches, maybe an inch and point. I see 1.95 actually, 1.94, but nowhere near close to 2 inches. So that's pretty much all that I have to say there in terms of precipitation and just what's going on with the pattern in general. And now we're going to really get into the temperature aspect. So the precipitation aspect is over with. The temperature aspect is also going to be here. Now, remember at the beginning of the month, I said that June was going to be a more near normal month. You're going to have days to where it's going to be below average, some days to where it's going to be above average. But watch as you move into Wednesday going into Thursday. You see a little bit of cooler air, 15, 16 degrees below average in Mississippi and Alabama as you move into tomorrow. But watch as you move later into Thursday or so. You're starting to see some warmer conditions start to pop up, and that is expected. That is expected. I mean, we're around now 12 to 15 degrees above average as we go into Saturday. We go over into Sunday, we're still around 10 to 15 degrees above average, but maybe there's some cooler air moving in later on in the weekend, potentially. But warmer air does try to come back. And it kind of just spreads through all the way from 15 to 16 degrees above average through Wednesday, going over into Thursday, Friday, and just all the way into next weekend. We're still talking about some warmer conditions trying to get going over inside of the state of South Carolina. So warmer conditions, we're expecting that. That's expected. That's a given. But what do they actually look like? We know it's going to be above average, but what about the actual temperature? That's what most people want to know. And just as you go in and move this into Wednesday, obviously tomorrow we're talking about those high temperatures up into the 90s. Thursday, we're looking at some 90s, but maybe a bit higher. I see around 98, 99. As we go into Thursday, will that happen? Maybe, maybe not. Again, this is a long-term model, so it's not really the best at short term, but it is, at least showing warmer temperatures and pretty hot temperatures. Going to Friday, you're still looking at some high 90s coming in. Saturday comes in, and now we're looking at 100s. And so that's why I was saying this weekend, that heat index is really going to be up. That heat illness risk is really going to be up. And not only that, but I also saw that they may issue heat advisories as well as we go into this weekend. So that's something to also watch for if you do get that alert. Then as we move more and more into next week, we still see some higher temperatures trying to come in. Even as we move into midweek, we're still watching for some more hundreds to try and move through. Now, what's going on in terms of the actual feel-like temperatures? Well, as you move on into around Wednesday here and then Thursday, and we just keep on moving it forward. We're seeing some hundreds maybe as we move into the Friday time frame, but as you move into Saturday, we're talking about 103, I see 104, 105 or so. Again, this is just a long-term model, so things could definitely change. Sunday comes along, 105 or so. And then as we move into next week, we're still watching for a good amount of hundreds. In fact, we may even see 108, 109, 110, but this time maybe even in the upstate as we go into next week. Thursday of next week just looks downright treacherous. I know it's 200 hours out, and we probably shouldn't be looking this far, but just downright 110, 111, 112 degrees in terms of feel-like temperatures later on next week. And it can get even higher than that on Friday. And then things kind of calm down a little bit. So the main aspect and the main thing I just wanted to talk about for tonight is obviously this. The heat illness risk. You can see over there on the right side, extreme heat, drink water, limit time outdoors, check on others, watch for symptoms, all of that stuff. Make sure that you are really keeping that into account as you move into this weekend going into next week. It's about to get hot. Heat that we have not seen probably so far yet on a widespread scale next week. It could. It could. It definitely has that potential to. So just make sure that you are aware. Make sure that you're drinking water. Make sure that you're checking up on others. Make sure that if you have pets out as well, they're taking care of. Plants that are sensitive to heat, make sure they're taken care of. Because it's about to get extremely hot. Extremely hot. And so a heat related illness risk is really about to take shape. And that's all that I have to say here in terms of the models and stuff for the future. So let's go on and take a look at the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us here at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Let's see what the audience has to say for tonight. Starting off with my Nana first. She says, hello, Jay and all. Hello to you. A nice warm day. I enjoyed the later afternoon. I did nothing that I had planned to do. Or I did nothing that I had planned to do. Well, tomorrow is another day. Maya Lewis says or I thought that said good news. Good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Hopefully everyone had a wonderful day. I did. Thank you so much for that. Today in Georgetown, it was around 92 degrees. Currently, it's 83 degrees. It was hot, hot, hot. And honestly, I mean, a story of my own. I was checking and I was seeing what was going on in terms of the AC at my house. We have it set in around the mid 70s or so. And so it was running, I think when I checked the time, it was around 4:05, somewhere around there. And I checked, it was around 4:40. That thing didn't stop. That thing was still going. It was running constantly for about 30, 40 minutes or so. And in fact, since I started this recording, it's been running. It's been running for about 21 minutes now. And it is 9:21 p.m. at night. 9:21 p.m. at night. So honestly, I am kind of curious. I'm kind of curious if you're willing to put, if anybody was paying attention to their AC today and was seeing, how long it ran, put inside the chat real quick. I want to see how long y'all's AC has run like continuously today. Just trying to see something. Again, you don't have to, but I do want to kind of just compare real quick and see what everybody else was going on with today. Now, continue on. My Mr. Anthony says, "Good evening, everyone. Good evening to you." My Nana says, "I was hoping for at least a good few minutes of rain. Good few minutes of rain." Yeah, that would have been good. I know that the chance was there, but obviously it didn't really happen too much, especially over at my house. And in fact, at my house, it is around 84 currently, and it felt like around 90. And then high temperature for today was around 93. Then Malu says, prayerfully, I plan to go outside to do more yard work at 6:30 a.m. before it gets too hot in the morning. Yeah, I mean, that's early. I definitely would plan to do that. We can sure use some rainfall here in Georgetown. Absolutely, I definitely can. Definitely can attest to that. You guys are in the D3 drought right now. Then my Aunt Shirley comes in and says, hello and blessings to all. My grass is happy. Got some good rain today. I'm glad to hear that. Dad says, good evening, Joseph and the 360 Weather family. I trust all is well with everyone. It was a hot day here in San Antonio. I spent most of the day outside working on my yard. I'm still out here fertilizing and edging. Well, I'm glad that you're able to go in and get some yard work done today where you are. And then we had a high of 91. Hopefully we'll get a bit of rain in the near future. Well, oh man, do I have some bad news to kind of give you there. But we'll get to that once we get there. Then my cousin Cheryl comes in and says, good evening, everyone. I hope all is well. I'm at work, but I'm listening. Be blessed. Tune in tomorrow. I will. Well, thank you so much for that and for that comment. Trail then says, blissful evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Mr. Daniel says, summer has just begun. My AC has been running constantly since 11:30 this morning. I've set it around 73. 73 around 11:30. Honestly, that's a bit later than I thought. I thought it would have been running as early as like 9:10 or so, maybe even earlier than that. And then my Aunt Lou said around 15 minutes. Nephew, what's the temperature for Monday? What's the temperature for Monday? We're going to go on and talk about that in just a moment. I want to do top fan of the night for tonight because we're going to do something different tonight. Usually when we go in and do top fan of the night for tonight, it's usually questions. And so it's not going to be a question tonight. Sometimes we go in and reward people, maybe if they went on and sent in an email tonight. But we're going to do it to the person who was here first tonight. Who was the person here first tonight? Whoever was here first tonight, we're going to go on and give them top fan of the night for tonight. And it was my Nana. So let's go on and give her a round of applause. She will be the top fan of the night for tonight. Congratulations to you for winning the top fan of the night for tonight. Again, if you want to win top fan of the night like her, you can. You have to be here early. You have to be paying attention because it could be a question. It could be if you were here early, whoever was here first in the chat. It could be an email. So you have to be active. And you never know when that time may come where I may try to switch things up. Anything is on the table. Anything is on the table. So that's all that I can see here. We did get a question though. She says, what is the temperature for Monday? You want me to probably go in and look at Georgetown. I can go in and take a look at that for you real quick. This is the high temperature for tomorrow. And so if we go on and move into Monday, seems like for you, it's going to be around 92. Let me go in and save that right now so you can go on and see it on the big screen. Oops, there we go. So yeah, this is the high temperature for Monday, 92 over there in Georgetown, high 90s in the Midlands, inside the Low Country. In the upstate, you're around the mid-90s. So a lot of us 90s. I mean, even in Charleston, 92. So that's what your temperature is looking like right now for Monday. Now, things are subjected to change, obviously, but for right now, that's what we're looking at. But let's go on and talk about the 4 areas outside of South Carolina. You might be asking 4 areas. What am I talking about? I'm talking about San Antonio, Texas, Raleigh, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as well as Duncan, Oklahoma. The reason why we talk about these 4 areas is because we have people from these areas who tune in almost nightly. And because they tune in almost nightly, we're going to go on and give them their forecast for them. And we're going to try to go on and get through this pretty quickly. So we're going to start off with San Antonio first. Low temperatures tonight at 76. High temperatures for tomorrow, 93. Low temperatures tomorrow night at 74. It's going to be breezy as you get into tonight, going all the way into tomorrow night. No rainfall is expected for you over the next 7 days, so you obviously have no risk of excessive rainfall or severe weather. And then temperature-wise, you're going to continue to be up into like the mid to maybe even, honestly, just mid-90s, honestly, it seems. So you're going to kind of just stay in the mid-90s as you go more into next week. Now for Raleigh, North Carolina, you have low temperatures tonight at 64, high temperatures for tomorrow at 87, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 65. No precipitation tonight or tomorrow. Next chance of precipitation is on Friday with a 20% chance of shower and storm activity. No risk of severe weather for you. Excessive rainfall, no risk of excessive rainfall for you either, so you are good to go. In terms of your future, though, temperature-wise, it looks like you're going to be hot. 99 for Saturday. Sunday is going to be around 97, so you could hit 100 this weekend. Same thing like in South Carolina, to where some may hit 100 this weekend or next week. Same thing to you. Now for Philadelphia, you have low temperatures tonight at 61, high temperatures for tomorrow at 84, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at around a good 63. No precipitation tonight or tomorrow, so we're on a good streak here. But in terms of rainfall, next chance is on Thursday night, Friday or so. Severe weather for you, not expected at this time. Excessive rainfall is not either. And then for your future, rainfall, like I said, returns for the weekend. Sunday, going into next week, though, looks pretty dry. And then temperature-wise, you're going to continue to kind of stay into the 80s. Getting into next week, you'll start to see that resurgence back up into the 90s. And then finally for Duncan, Oklahoma, low temperatures tonight at 73, high temperatures for tomorrow at 93, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 74. There is a chance of thunderstorms for tonight. But as you go into tomorrow, you're not seeing anything. Tomorrow night, a slight chance of thunderstorms there. You do have a risk of severe weather for tonight. You still have that marginal risk of severe weather. Isolated damaging winds and hail is expected. So isolated storms could definitely produce that. Right now, though, you're in the clear. So probably later tonight. If I was to ask. And also, you're under a flood watch until around 7 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, your time. So 7 a.m. Central Daylight Time, that you're expected to see that. You also have a risk of severe weather for tomorrow. That's isolated damaging winds. And then you're close on Thursday, but not quite there. Excessive rainfall wise, you do have a risk for excessive rainfall tomorrow, scattered flash flooding. And then on Thursday, another risk of isolated flash flooding is possible. For your future, precipitation wise, really tonight and tomorrow is your only days of potential rainfall. Past that, nice and dry all the way through into the weekend, going into next week. But I will say this, it's about to get really hot. In fact, your high temperature for honestly a couple of days next week will be 100 plus, and that's not even including feel like temperature. So it's going to be hot, way hotter than any of the areas that we've talked about today over there. So let's see what's going on right now throughout the entire U.S. weather news wise. Looks like right now, severe weather flooding threats will continue for portions of the central U.S. over the next couple of days, with multiple rounds of thunderstorms expected. Dangerous heat will also persist across the southern and the western U.S. through the mid part of the week. Hot and dry conditions will fuel fire weather concerns for the Intermountain West, where dry thunderstorms may spark additional wildfires. All of that, all of that stuff is going on nationwide at this point, and so there still is a lot of stuff going on, especially in terms of heat as well. See that heat over there in western parts of Texas, parts of New Mexico, parts of Arizona, California, just a lot of stuff. Even up there in Washington State, up there near Seattle, there's a good amount of heat that's going to occur for them up there. And then that's all that I have to say here for tonight, I believe. I don't see anything else inside of the chat for me. Honorable mention for top fan of the night for tonight. Maya Lula was there, and then Thad was there. So congratulations to the two of y'all for being honorable mentions for the top fan tonight. So all of that is done with. So we're going to go on and end this off. If you have not hit the like button yet or the subscribe button yet, go on and do so. We're at 757, trying to get to that main goal of 800. We are getting closer and closer and closer to it by the day. And also, we are around 3/4, if not past 3/4 of the way to 1,000. We are less than 250. So we're pushing closer towards that goal too. I mean, I can just remember the days when we were just trying to push for 100. And I had the first, I can even remember we had like 9 subscribers here. Now we have 757. So we're continuing on, and we will make it to 1,000. When? Only time will tell. But make sure you go and hit the subscribe button. I'll be back tomorrow morning for your Wednesday morning forecast update. I should be here on Thursday, but Friday, remember I said later on in the week I may not be here. I think Friday is going to be that day. So Friday, Saturday, and probably even Sunday morning, I will not be here. So again, that's probably Friday evening, Saturday, and then Sunday morning probably will be the days that I will not be here. So just letting you know that, and I will be back tomorrow morning. Everyone have a fantastic rest of your Tuesday.